Welcome to the Borough. I'm Macy Lynn.
And I'm Emily.
And today we're going to be discussing a pretty well-known case that has spanned over the course of almost 4 decades now.
Okay, so the first confirmed victim of this case was a woman by the name of Marcia Matthews, who was found off I-71 in Mansfield, Ohio on July 12, 1985. She was found by a state trooper around 5:30 a.m. that morning and was taken straight to the hospital because she is actually the only victim to have been found alive. She was found mostly nude, missing a lot of her clothing, severely beaten. She was put on life support, and about 2 days later she had to be taken off, which changed her case from an assault and battery case to a murder case. The detectives now had a homicide on their hands.
Boom. Okay, and so then a little more than a year later, on July 20th, 1986, Shirley Dean Taylor was found.
Shirley Dean Taylor.
She was 23 years old, and she was also found severely beaten and strangled, and like Marcia and all other victims in this case, she was mostly nude. And she was found by a trucker on the intersection of I-71 and I-76.
I spelled intersection.
Wow, nice job. This was also the first case where Dr. No was mentioned. And so one of her friends was with her at the truck stop where a lot of them hung out and tried to get jobs.
I would say hung out. They were working.
On the job.
Working
9 to 5.
9 to 5. Except it's more like 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Working 9 to 5.
Okay, but so she got a call over the CB radio of someone by the name Dr. No, took the job, wound up dead.
And so the last person to see her was like, yeah, this dude named Dr. No, he's responsible.
He's gonna get you.
So, if you haven't guessed, this is the Dr. No serial killer case, which is an Ohio case, mostly. There are victims that were found in other states, but a lot of the victims were found in Ohio. So, his MO was to leave victims strangled, beaten, naked off the side of I-71. Not naked, but he would have odd pieces of clothing. They'd have one sock, a t-shirt, and that would be it. Or their underwear and their pants on their ankles. And that would be it. And the other clothes were never actually found for most of them. I think the only one who ever found clothes was one of the unidentified women. Anyway, so this case spanned, like I said, from 1981 up until the most recent trial of April 4th this year. 2019.
We'll get to him later.
Yes. So there are several theories about the case, including the fact that there were multiple guys doing this, which is pretty likely. But today I think we're going to talk more about the idea that there was just one guy going around killing these ladies.
I think there was a trucker cult, and they were just dude.
They were let's kill women. Let's kill these prostitutes.
And leave them on I-71.
Leave them on the side of the road. But
so
only on I-71.
Why wouldn't they do it on I-69?
Next person.
Okay. So the next person is April Barnett. She is our youngest victim here, and youngest victim actually a part of this case. And so she was 18 years old, and she was trafficked into prostitution and sex work when she was a child. And so she was actually found on December 4th, 1986, not even a full year after
Shirley Dean
Taylor. Yep. So she was strangled, not beaten or anything like the other women. But yeah, she was strangled, and she was actually frozen solid, which, it's Ohio.
In
it's
December,
yeah.
You're not wearing most of your clothes.
But yeah,
you're dead.
Frozen.
Frozen solid.
So the interesting thing about this one is...
And it's not even this specific case, about all these cases.
Yeah. So the complications with figuring stuff out and everything was that it was all different jurisdictions and all of that stuff, and so
everybody was found in a different county.
Yeah, the departments weren't hey, connections. They were just there's this person, there's this person, there's this person. And then Michael Behrens?
Yeah, Michael Behrens.
He was a reporter, and he wrote an article that showed the connection between the cases, and then all the cops were oh my goodness.
He was the first person to actually realize.
Yeah, hey, these are all
we have a serial killer.
Yeah.
And he's killing ladies.
Oh yeah.
So the next person in our list of victims, which there are actually like upwards of 13 victims, but we're only going to talk about like a few of them. So the next person is probably the most famous and the weirdest victim in this case, by the name of Anne Marie Patterson. She was 27 years old, and she was a prostitute. She had been arrested the day right before her disappearance on charges of solicitation, which is a very common thing for prostitutes.
And they would usually be let out like the next day,
if not later that day. It was just a warning. But
it was just like, stop prostituting
it's
yourself.
like, hey,
oh, you're back again? Stop it.
I told you. No, a lot of times they'll give them a warning and then they'll actually charge them and hold them for like a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the thing about it though is while she was there, she told the police that she knew who the killer was, but would not tell them because she was afraid of being tracked down and caught, which is one of the many things we'll see that shows that she probably had a connection to the killer.
Mm-hmm.
The police actually ended up brushing it off, and she was released later that night. The next night, over CB radio, because she had pulled into the truck stop where she normally worked, which is the Austintown truck stop on I-71.
Where a lot of women have now.
It's a very, very large truck stop.
Yeah. She was with her
A lot of these
husband,
women.
her pimp.
Yeah, she was with her husband, and she got a call over the CB radio from Dr. No. And she absolutely refused this call, left the truck stop
No,
with
boy.
her husband. She was like,
I know who you are. I'm
today.
not doing that.
We're not dying today. But little did she know. Anyway, so she and her husband drove to a different truck stop right over the state line in Pennsylvania. And then her husband left
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't going to stay all night. And
Bye, babe.
that was the last time he actually ever saw his wife alive.
In the arms of the angel.
I'm gonna cry.
She was reported missing
Last
on.
time you ever saw his wife alive. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was reported missing on Valentine's Day of 1987 by her husband, but her body was not actually found until March 23rd of 1987, which is another weird thing because a lot of these bodies were found hours, minutes after being dropped off on the
And
side
that's
of the
a
road.
full month later.
That's like over a month later.
Yeah.
But another weird thing, she was found in a sleeping bag, which doesn't sound weird because like a lot of serial killers do that.
Yeah. But like all the other women were fully exposed.
They were exposed to the elements and everything. And she was covered up. So, yeah. But also her body was not nearly decayed as it should have been for have been outside, even in the sleeping bag. That body would have decayed. That body would have decayed like super quick out in the elements. Cause like it's early spring, all kinds of animals are out there. Anyway, so that means she was kept in a refrigerated area for over a month. Like her body was preserved by the killer. And a lot of the people who saw the killer's truck confirmed that it was a refrigerated truck, meaning that he kept her body most likely in the back of his truck for over a month. And she had died like 48 hours after being like kidnapped, which means she was dead for most of that time.
Yeah.
And that means there was a very obvious connection. Like he was either overly fond of her, he had been her client several times, or
and like if you don't know how serial killers operate, very commonly they kill at least one person that they know, and then all the other people they kill have connections to that person. Now typically the first person they kill is the person that they're connected to. However, as it shows, this is not the first person killed and everything, but it still shows that she was probably connected to him because she stated that she knew who he was. He covered her up, he kept her and stuff like that. You don't make those big distinct differences unless you're trying to say, hey, I know this woman.
I'm very sure that it was probably a friend of her husband. And I'm saying that because it couldn't have been her husband because she trusted her husband to drive her to a different place and he left. Which doesn't mean he couldn't have come back, but like, she would have known if he was the person who called because she was in the car with him.
See, but I truly feel like he probably knew the man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if she was bringing in less money or whatnot, why he would want to do that. But I mean, you know that there's a killer out on the loose and everything like that, even though you took her somewhere else and everything, why would you leave? Like, I understand, like, she's gonna be there a while and stuff like that, but you could wait until she got a job and everything like that and went somewhere. But no, you leave.
Next victim.
So now we're on to Catherine Hill, who was 26. She was found November 5th of 1990. So now we've moved into the 90s. So she was the first person to actually be able to have her semen sample tested, because up until 1986, semen samples were not able to be...
DNA evidence was not admitted into court up until 1986.
Yep.
Semen sample evidence was a very, very new technology. DNA evidence was very, very new during this time.
Yeah, I can't speak. But all of the rape kits
say,
had been done on the women.
When we say her semen sample, we mean like the semen sample from her rape kit.
Yeah. So like...
Not hers.
She was not a man.
She was actually, in fact, a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I know. Say what? But so, yeah, all of the women had had rape kits done on them, and they had all been raped, obviously. But so yeah, but all of the the DNA tests were done on all of the other rape kits as well, but all of the DNA kind of matched each other, but matched nobody currently in their system. So.
Which makes sense to one of our suspects that we're going to talk about later. But, yeah. Now we're on to our unidentified women, the Jane Does. So our first one is the Buckskin Girl. Now the Buckskin Girl, what's different about her is she was actually found long before the first confirmed victim. She was found on April 24th of 1981. Her name was she was identified in 2018 as Marsha King.
So think about that. She was found in 1981 and wasn't confirmed until last year.
So it took 37 years to find out who this lady was. But she was called the Buckskin Girl, oddly enough, because of the jacket she was wearing. She was wearing a tasseled buckskin jacket that was found near her body. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, Buckskin Girl. Duh. Anyway, the only thing we really know about her is she's from Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Why you call this one Kansas?
This one is not Arkansas. America, explain!
Petition to call Kansas Kansaw.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and get through the Jane Does.
Move on.
So our next Jane Doe was found in August of 1987. This is the only girl that we don't have our particular date, but we know she was found in August.
I actually did have a particular date. I just didn't write it down.
Not professional. Okay, so this is Paula Beverly Davis.
It was August something. August 20th?
Well, yeah, it's August something. It's written.
Yeah, it was something.
It's Paula Beverly Davis. So she is actually connected very strongly to one of our later suspects that we'll get into. So even though she was found in Ohio, she was born in Kansas City.
And operated mostly in Kansas City as a prostitute.
Mm-hmm. And so the guy that she is connected with is because a stocking was found in her mouth, and there was a specific serial killer within Kansas City that was operating at that time, and that was his MO. He would stuff stockings in their mouth. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, here's the thing. I understand, a lot of those areas can get cold, so they probably were wearing stockings and stuff like that, but if he didn't find a girl wearing stockings, did he just, run to CVS or Walmart and be we need some stockings, stat!
Walgreens, grab some stockings.
Do you got blood on your hands?
No, he would also stuff napkins in their mouth.
Oh, that's nice.
So, anyway, but we'll do probably an episode on him
McDonald's
later.
napkins? That's the best place to get napkins, because they don't judge you when you're just
No, Starbucks will give you handfuls of napkins.
That's nice too.
But also,
there's a lot of those in the U.S.
We're white chicks, so I don't think Starbucks was a thing back in the
Probably
80s.
not.
Was it? I think it became popular in the 90s.
Yeah. McDonald's was though.
Anyway,
That was the thing.
we're editing that part out. The next woman, whose body was found on April 19th, 1990, was identified as Patrice Corley in 2016 when her parents, family, whoever, released a missing persons report reporting her missing, even though she had been missing for obviously a very long time. Rude. But we really only know about her as her name and the fact that the cause of death was a blunt force trauma injury to the side of her head. Other than that, We don't know much. Just like that's very common throughout all of these Jane Does and the unconfirmed victims. It's just that
Very little information.
we don't
is
know
really
very
known.
much.
Yeah, they didn't really give information about where they were found, what time they were found.
Well,
when
they were all found on
last
I-71.
Well, yeah, they were all found on I-71. But, like,
I-71.
where on I-71? But so,
Does
now
I-71
we just...
run through Mobile?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah, cool.
Okay, so, so now we go into, like, the unconfirmed victims. So, like, the people before were, like, very more directly related to this case and were like, hey, this is this guy.
Or were Jane Does.
Yeah.
And when we say unconfirmed, we don't mean like they weren't killed. We obviously know
Yeah, they were
killed.
obviously killed and stuff,
left on the side of
but
the road.
they could have been a part of some
Like
other
other
case.
cases,
I
or-
mean, because it was very popular sounds bad, but it was very common for prostitutes to be killed, especially at this time.
Especially all the time.
Well, yeah.
Every
I
day.
mean,
But the thing about these is why they're so unconfirmed is that most of them were found in different states.
mhm.
Like from New York, Pennsylvania. One was actually found in Alabama.
It's just things were quite similar to these killings.
Yeah.
So they started in 1986 after April, our youngest victim.
April Barnett.
And then they span all the way out to 1992, which was the last victim that was considered to be tied into this case. So in order, they go Jill Allen, LaMonica Cole, Terry Rourke, Mary Reeves, who was the one found near Mobile, representing Alabama with death, and then
Yay.
Sherry Lynn
Kajierski.
Gajierski.
She's got a long last name. The thing
Sharon
about LaMonica Cole, she was actually 19 when she was found. She's the youngest of the unconfirmed victims. Interesting fact. Anyway, so for our first few suspects, they're really people who I don't consider plausible suspects. It's just they were only ever really circumstantially connected to one or two of the cases, never really a bunch of the cases. But our first suspect is a man by the name of Dennis Hetzel, who was only ever connected to Sharon's case, but like he wasn't even connected well to that case because the only connection he had was through bite mark analysis, which is just
Could have been wearing dentures.
fresh grills. Fresh grills.
By the way, this is like the 5th time we've
Oh,
tried
this
to
is
record
absolutely
this
the
section.
5th time.
And so she's talked about the grills and I've talked about the dentures like 5 times now.
It's
and
good.
It doesn't seem organic anymore like it was in the beginning.
It was so nice. Oh well.
It was funny. And then
If
it
you
didn't
check our
record.
Instagram story, then you'll see why we had to stop recording. Anyway, so back to Dennis Hetzel. He actually ended up dying a while back in prison after being convicted of raping his 2 young daughters who were just 5 and 7 at the time.
He deserved to die.
He did, absolutely. I agree.
Now on to Lorenzo Gilliard. I did it. I've also tried several times to say that name and failed. So
Mom's out of
Lorenzo.
coffee. I was out of coffee. This is the bottom of one drink, so I made it look like it had coffee in here.
This is so cold. That was great. Okay.
Lorenzo Gilliard.
Yep. He was the convicted serial killer that I talked about, way back when with Kansas City.
It was really like 5 minutes ago.
Shut up. Yeah, in the video, yes.
It's gonna be like 5 minutes ago. In real life, it's like 2 hours later.
Yeah. About Paula Beverly Davis, I said, had that stocking stuffed in her mouth, and like, that was the MO of a serial killer. This is the dude, Lorenzo. So yeah, he was not connected to any other case but hers. But so he killed approximately 12 other girls other than her, if like you count her. And so he was convicted of 6 of them, acquitted for 1, and was never tried for 5 confirmed victims.
Yeah. So our next suspect was a trucker by the name of Alvin Wilson, who was convicted and jailed for strangling, raping a prostitute from Akron, Ohio. But the reason why we don't consider him really plausible, and this doesn't discount the fact that he could have been the murderer this entire time, but he was in jail during one of the murders. And so, yeah, he wasn't there
I mean, but
It's kind of hard to kill someone when you're not there. But, like,
Yeah.
trucker gang.
It could have been his friend.
Truck cult. Trucker cult.
So, but like she said, Akron, Ohio, a lot of girls.
Yeah, a lot of the women who went missing came from Akron, Ohio. I guess it's like a suburb outside of
That was the area.
Mansfield, maybe?
Yeah.
Where is Akron, Ohio?
Okay, so next we have James Robert Cruz. So he was found guilty for murdering a 17-year-old in Pennsylvania, which, as we know, is right over the border from Ohio. So very
And
close.
is south of Massachusetts. What kind of lies have I been told?
She thinks Massachusetts is like real
I
low.
thought that Massachusetts was like right north of Maryland. I was in a geography bee in elementary school. Can I like place in that?
Oh, that's good for you.
But
Okay.
I didn't know that.
And so he was arrested in 1993 for the murder of that 17-year-old girl, which lines up with what some people would say was the end of the murders. Like, we specifically said that the last girl that we're talking about today was found in 1992. However, a lot of people would argue that the murders continued until 2004. So it just depends on when you think the murders really stopped.
Yeah. Okay. Update.
But he was never charged with an Ohio murder.
Yeah. Akron, Ohio. Update is a whole city, not a suburb. Sorry about that. It's like a big city.
Well, that's good for you. Okay.
Oh, it's near Cleveland.
Move on to Goebel.
Sean Patrick Goebel was actually the prime suspect in this case up until this year when another man was tried for the case. But he committed several murders in Tennessee and North Carolina in the mid-90s and was convicted and given 2 life sentences for the murders in Tennessee. The way he killed his victims was similar to the way that we see in this case with the beating and strangulation and leaving on the side of the road. But he was never actually directly connected to any of the cases. He did drive, though, a truck that was identical, very, very similar to what witnesses claim the killer's truck looked like. So,
Samuel W. Legg. So, so this man, Legg, was charged with Sharon's murder, as we said with what's his face? Dennis
Hetzel.
He was the guy that, they were like, hey, you probably killed Sharon because of the bite mark analysis. But so this one actually had full DNA evidence. So he was actually already charged with rape of an underage girl and other murders in both Ohio and Illinois. And so he's not good name. But some people claim that he was too young to have committed the murders in the 80s, which we kind of agree with. The first body was found in 1981, and he would have been 11 that year. The next body was found in 1985, and so he would have been 14 then, which I wouldn't say is...
I wouldn't put it past him,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, he couldn't drive, and if this was a trucker who was getting these women, you would have to be able to drive.
And so, that does complicate things and stuff like that, but like I said, gang,
Truck cult.
they probably just passed the torch on to him. It's probably one of his sons. Maybe not his son, but whatever.
He was like a
Okay.
nephew.
But so, they discovered that his semen samples matched that of 4 of the women. And Legg had no previous run-ins with the law.
That is the 12th time we've said this.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that is the reason why, way back when the samples were originally tested, there was none in the system because he had never been arrested before.
Yes.
Into that whole Ohio-Illinois thing.
And he was actually just tried on April 4th,
2019.
2019.
So just a couple months ago.
So very recently. Interesting fact. Today is that we are filming this is July 11th, 2019. But tomorrow marks the 35th anniversary of the first confirmed victim's body being found. Amazing.
Wow.
Anyway, so in closing, no one knows really who this killer was or why he was killing these women, besides the fact that they were sadly easy targets. But it's an ongoing case. Like, this case has never closed. It's gone cold quite a few times, but it's never fully, like, actually closed. And up till this day, police are still investigating and trying to find out who done it. So, yes.
And that's quite a scary thing, that the first body of this case was found in 1981 and 2019, today.
We're still going.
It's been like,
Almost 40 years.
Yeah, almost 40
It's
years.
been 38.
38, 39, something like that.
Yeah. I can't do math. So if there's anything that you think we got wrong, please let us know in the comments. Tell if there's any other cases that you want us to do. If you want us to do an episode on the serial killer we talked about in this episode, we'll do that. Make sure.
Or any specific serial killers, just, we love them all.
Doesn't have to be a serial killer even. I will investigate a single murder if you want. I will stay up till 2 a.m. any day researching murderers.
Which we did.
No, which I did.
We did it last night, kind of.
Oh yeah,
Just
never mind.
yeah.
It was like 3. Anyway, so yeah, and if there's,
Get us to 2 likes.
I'm down with 2 likes.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Comment, notifications, whatever you want to do.
However you're feeling today.
And
We'll see you next
Next
time
time.
in The Burrow. He is a...
it's on my shirt.
Shut up. Lorenzo Gilliard.
He was a dude.
He was a dude. Oh my god, we just keep messing up.
So Samuel Goebel was
Samuel?
Samuel Goebel